And welcome to the Grand Prix Warsaw 2014 semi-finals here. I'm Matej Bigzizagkai in the booth with Simon Gertzen, and we will be bringing you all the live action from the two matches that we have left in this tournament. So only 4 players left vying for the title. And I think all of them already quite accomplished, but would love to add a Grand Prix trophy to their resume. Bernhard Lener of Austria facing off against Javier Dominguez of Spain. He already has a trophy from Paris this year, just a couple months ago. So wouldn't mind having to make extra room on the trophy shelf. Then we also have Benjamin Yu, United States, facing off against Fabrizio Anteri of Venezuela, living in London. And we're going to start off with the Lener Dominguez match. We know Bernhard Lener is on blue-black control with triple sigil starfish. Javier Dominguez, somewhat average blue-white deck, but has a double Aquarian Skyguard. So it should be an interesting matchup.
Not the best start for Javier when he's facing a control deck.
Yeah, his deck does seem a little bit inconsistent, and Siren of the Silent Song can already be a big beating played on turn 2. Remember, it has an inspired trigger, but yeah, it's Voyages end on turn 2. That's not how you want to be spending that card. But I think Javier Dominguez is dinging for planes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, 3 islands is the language is clear here. Not a great start to the semifinals if you are missing one of your colors. One of the easiest ways to lose in this format in particular, I think.
Yeah, so 3 mana, Sign of the Silent Song again. Yep, there it is. And Javier Dominguez, nothing on 3, but will have Course of the Tides. Also drew the planes, has a supply line crane. So we thought his deck was a bit lacking on creatures, but he always just manages to play a couple. And I think he's going to be fine against decks that have little removal. But Bernhard Lener on blue-black. Black is known to have some removal. Block? Fair trade.
And this can only work because of the inspired mechanic. Otherwise, a 2-1 could usually not attack into a 3-2.
Sea-Log Monster, ooh, that's a big guy. Can instantly attack because Javier Dominguez does have islands. And it's certainly bigger than a supply line crane, which is a 3-5 for 5 now. So I see Bernhard Lener has more lands in his hand, 2 more. And attacks with a Sea-Log Monster.
The 7th land will enable the Sea-Log Monster to grow. Sigil Starfish maybe a bit late, but still not irrelevant to have here. Against blue-white, I really like it.
Yeah, there's a Hopeful Eidolon on supply line cranes, attacking for 4, gaining Javier Dominguez 4 life, so he can start racing this.
Yeah, this swings the race in his favor completely, because now he's dealing 4, whereas Bernhard is only dealing 1 a turn.
Yep. Upkeep, we will probably see a Scry from the Starfish, because there's nothing to block, so yeah, he's going to Scry to the bottom, has plenty of lands in his hand already, draws a Temple of Enlightenment, so more scrying, but another land that he didn't want. Now he has to decide, do I play my Temple of Enlightenment and scry, or do I play the 7th and monsters my Sea-Log Monster?
Yeah, that's only dangerous against more bounce spells, but one Voyage's End was already used by Javier. Bernhard has no fear here. He knows that he needs the extra damage output. Yep,
there's the monster's ability, so the Sea-Log Monster grows to an 8/8 and puts Javier Dominguez down to 11. But he has the supply line cranes with the Hopeful Eidolon lifelink, so he can manage to raise that.
Yeah, Javier has the more traditional Theros block limited deck, which really just tries to put a lot of auras and bestow creatures on creatures, like Aquarian Skyguard, which we just saw in the battlefield.
So there's an Aquarian Skyguard. The Scryfish. Scry is a card that Bernhard Lener likes. So we'll see what he plays after attacking for 8. Javier Dominguez is actually on 15. We'll drop down to 7. Too much lifeline going on.
This is nothing compared to the Grim Guardian Scholar of Theros matchup in the quarterfinals. Oh, is Javier? No, he isn't blocking here, is he?
No, I don't think he's blocking.
Oh, he has a Crypsis in hand?
He has a Breaching Hippocamp in his hand.
Also, okay.
Yeah, the life tools were reversed there, so I don't think there was a block. No, so Javier Dominguez should be down to 7 now. Scry reveals another card he likes. I wonder what it is. Pass of the turn. Okay, there's the correct life totals.
I think that Bernhard is probably on bounce or sudden storm here.
Entirely possible. So, but it looks like there is an attack happening, but 2 mana. Voyages end on the supply line cranes. So that means that, yeah, Eidolon just stays as a 1-1, and Akron Skyguard another 1-1, bashing in for 1. Dropping down Bernhard to double 1-1, so 11. Too many ones.
Javier is in range of dying to Seal Out Monster. One option is to just block it with a hopeful Eidolon next turn. I could also see Crypts is being used to save it. Interesting, okay, it looked for a second there that Javier wanted to grow the Eidolon, which is most likely going to be forced to block.
Yeah, but that was a post-combat counter on the Akron Skyguard. Javier Dominguez missing 1 life point there.
Well, he couldn't really...
He was in combat, you're right, yeah. So there's it looks like a chump block, gaining Javier 1 life, going up to 8. Bernhard Lener he kept the good card on top, so probably another trick. So now also has the untap, the Sigil Starfish that he can start using at the end of Javier Dominguez's turn. Yeah, but Javier doesn't give up, attacks for 4 in the air. Any tricks?
And he's up to 8. So the Seal Out Monster is still lethal, which would have been a reason to put the +1/+1 counter on the hopeful Eidolon.
Yep. Does Bernhard Lener have anything here? Nope. 4 damage through. Bernhard Lener down to 7, and a Dacra Mystic added to the board. So actually that's, yeah, end of turn Voyages end on Dacra Mystic, second one.
The third Voyages end of the game, the second from Bernhard Lener.
Maybe, I wouldn't say premature. Yeah, he sees the win on the board. He keeps the card on top again. It did seem like, yeah, he's probably scryed first. Yeah, Javier Dominguez thinking, we know that he has the Breaching Hippocamp, but I still think he has to leave it until until Bernhard Lener declares his attackers. He's scared of counterspell.
No, but Javier could actually win this,
yeah?
If he's able to chump block the Seal Out Monster for 2 more turns.
So there's a Crypsis, yeah. Oh, he also has that one. So grows the Akron Skyguard up to 3/3 already. Now has protection from Bernhard Lener's creatures, so can safely block.
And the Breaching Hippocamp, he can save the Breaching Hippocamp to have a flash blocker, which is safe from sorcery speed removal. Now, okay, that's a blocker. Flyer. That changes things a little bit. One of the cards in Javier Dominguez's hand is Mortal's Ardor. So now that the Akron Skyguard is a 3/3, it could actually be a lethal attack if Bernhard doesn't block.
Could be. Very tricky things going on here. Javier Dominguez playing this game really well.
I think that Javier has managed to create a winning board state for him here, where it's almost impossible for Bernhard to, first of all, make all the decisions correctly without perfect information, and then he's on the one hand he's so close to winning, only one attack and an unblocked attack with Seal Out Monster. On the other hand, there is just a steady stream of blockers for Javier, and Javier is the one actually dealing damage. Hopeful Eidolon basically is winning this game. It's not here anymore, but
it did gain him a considerable amount of life. It's now oppressive raise on the Sigil Starfish. All right. It is a play, so now Bernhard Lener has to pay 3 mana whenever he wants to use the activated ability, or if he wants to block. Activates it in response, scries to the bottom. That resolves. So now, attack. Yeah, Javier Dominguez thinking about his options.
This is the point where Javier has to think about the last card that it's in Bernhard's hand. And the real question is, if Bernhard declines the block, do you go for it or not? I think I would just try to cast the lethal spell. There's also a certain risk attached to not doing it, because if your opponent then untaps and plays Seagull Revenge or something like that.
Looking Bernhard Lener deep into thought. He has to make sure that it's very hard to play sometimes around these tricks, because especially because we know Javier Dominguez has so many.
And he knows that he's dead to any +1 power, +2 power trick.
No blocks, it looked like. So Mortals are on the Akron Skyguard for lethal. That is game. So Javier Dominguez wins game 1 over Bernhard Lener. Using his upflight lawn to gain enough life while beating down with his supply line cranes and an Akron Skyguard, and takes the game. Wow. Well played by Javier Dominguez, using his tricks to perfection there.
Yes, at exactly the right moment. That's the important part. Not when your opponent wants you to, not at the first possible moment, but rather exactly to win the race. Also not afraid of jump blocking, not afraid of using the tricks defensively, only using it at the, well, there's these dangerous spots for your instance, and he somehow circumvented that.
Yeah, so yeah, we're just moving on to the Fabrizio Anteri against Benjamin Yu match. They're still in game 1. We see an supply line cranes, Doomwake Giant, Cavern Lampad, Scholar Battery. Benjamin Yu has gummed up the grunts considerably, but the Fabrizio Anteri still has some big creatures. They're Boon Satyr on the Chorus of the Tides, double Ferris Band Thunderhoof, as well as Snake of the Golden Grove. Oh, I see also the Keepsake Gorgon. It's problematic. Attacking for 6. Benjamin Yu looks like he has stabilized the board against Fabrizio Anteri.
Oh, he has
now attacking for 6 a turn.
He has a large flyer, a large death touch creature. The Scholar of Theros that's gaining him value, and created a large intimidate creature with, I believe, Weight of the Underworld holding down or keeping the Chorus of the Tide small. Not exactly small, but basically negating the 3/2 base stats, so that it only has power and toughness of 4/2.
Sure. Armament of Nyx, played of one of the Thunderhoofs, means it will prevent all damage that it deals. Benjamin Yu still knows that he will have to be blocking here this turn. I don't know, but is that game? Yeah, that is game. So Benjamin Yu wins game 1 over Fabrizio Anteri with his Doomwake Giant that has Intimidate. I think it's intimidating already even without the Cavern Lampad, but yeah, it was enough.
I really like Ben Yu's deck.
Yeah, I told that Moraine like 5 times during the quarterfinals.
He's also impressed me with his play in the quarterfinals. You didn't see all of it, but very methodical, didn't miss a single trigger. Just really on top of his game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Whenever I watched him, I was very impressed. Very calm, doesn't show any emotion. Yeah, I think he also has a good poker face. Oh, but we're going to go back to the match between Bernhard Lener and Javier Dominguez. Remember, you will see all of these 4 players in the semifinals play in Portland at the Pro Tour Magic 2015, as they now earn the flight to that particular Pro Tour and gaining some pro points. So maybe if they also get a result there, they could make a run at silver. That's especially what Javier Dominguez is looking to do. Picking up 8 points in Paris, picking up at least 5 here, or has at least 3 secured in Atlanta, 3 more in Portland. We could see a lot of Javier Dominguez next year.
And for sometimes it's also important to get ahead in the World Magic Cup race.
Oh, for sure.
So these pro points are relevant on a lot of different levels.
I think he will be probably leading the Spanish World Magic Cup race. So, but back to the game. Bernhard Lener has a turn to Battlefield Thaumaturge. 2 mana 2/1, and it instant and sorcery costs 1 less to cast for every target they have, and also has heroic that says that when you target it, gets hexproof. So let's see what Bernhard Lener can do here. He immediately trade with Javier Dominguez. Like, I don't want to see you do any nasty stuff with that Battlefield Thaumaturge. I'll just trade immediately here. Sigil Starfish. He knew why. Bernhard Lener has triple Sigil Starfish, so he knew that the Deepwater Hypnotist does not have that much of a value against Bernhard Lener's deck.
He also already saw the Sealog monster, which is a big problem in itself and a huge ground blocker. Javier Dominguez knows that he will have to take it to to the air.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have a planes again, and with the supply line cranes in his hand, plays a Crystal Nautilus, so if Bernhard Lener has anything to target with, the Nautilus will not do much living, but if he doesn't, it's a 4/4 for 3 mana.
I think it's a reasonable play to bestall the Nautilus, because then you've gained some card advantage already, but this is quite dangerous.
Oh, wow, so no, it looks like no 4th land for Bernhard Lener and no targeting effects, just a Servant of Timuret. At least that one can block, and a Divination for Javier Dominguez, so we'll be drawing into planes. No lands at all, no islands, no planes. Both players stuck on 3 land, but I think Bernhard, with the Sigil Starfish, will be able to scry into a land. Yeah, he has a 4th land now. Can he get rid of the Nautilus? Can the Nautilus go all the way?
That's not going to happen. Most of the spells in this format do target, so the question is, you might have to spend a lot of mana on it.
Yeah.
Voyage's End gets countered upon resolution, so you don't get to scry, but of course it's still worth it.
Yeah, it kills, the Nautilus gets killed or sacrificed before the Voyage's End resolves, so there's also an Omen Speaker for Bernhard Lener.
So that makes it a much better turn,
yeah.
A lot more mana efficient.
Also setting up his following turns very nicely against the mana screwed Javier Dominguez. Bernhard Lener taking full control of this game. It slipped him in the previous one, just way too many flyers and tricks. It doesn't look like a land there for Javier Dominguez. Maybe he already has 8 cards in his hand and has to discard. No, he'll play Voyages on the Servant of Timuret, so the extensively probably drew it this turn, otherwise he could have played on his upkeep. But declined, maybe he declined too. He did keep a card on top, so I think it's planes coming.
Yeah, this feels awful. You're stuck on lands, you have only 1 color, your opponent is developing nicely and has so much scry going on that you basically know that you will be behind on board, and being behind on board is the worst thing that can happen to you, as a card like Fallen Sudama is showing here.
Yeah. No planes, but it was another island, so at least enabling the course of the tides for Javier Dominguez. He knows that flyers are the way to victory in this match, so he got that on board very quickly. Maybe he has a hopeful Eidolon in play. He can do what he did the previous game. But now also Forlorn Sudama in play for Bernhard Lener. 2/1 Intimidate for 4 and has an Inspired Trigger and creates some nasty creatures.
Bernhard Lener also has Siren of the Fang Coast in his deck. Wow. 5 mana 1/1, so it either mind controls a creature or it becomes a 4/4. So, yeah.
There's a Sphinx Disciple. Can trade with the Chorus of the Tides, but can also start attacking. Bernhard Lener does have some evasion of his own. I see a Curious Dismissal, which has no targets. A couple more cards. There's the attack from Chorus of the Tides. Bernhard Lener down to 13. And even though he's getting the beats from the chorus, I think he's feeling safe. Scrying a card to the top again, most likely. Or not. Keeps it.
It's interesting that Javier wants to raise. Bernhard declines the trade even though he's the aggressor and has the Fallen Sudama. Yeah. So they are both thinking, I have to raise this, I have to raise here to win the game, or I want to raise here to win the game.
Inspired Trigger resolves, so Forlorn Sudama creates a 2/2 zombie.
We've seen so many more Inspired Triggers resolve than previously.
Yeah, I agree. Many more. It does seem a little bit slower as well. There's, I think, many more board stalls than previously.
At least there's less unstoppable monsters.
Yes. So an attack with all the creatures that all the creatures with more than 0 power and without summoning sickness. So, and then it's an untap of the Chorus of the Tides with the Crypsis, also a Scry trigger. Killing of the Sphinx Disciple, swinging for 3, and Bernhard Lener suddenly not looking as hot. There's the Servant Timuret replayed. Interesting. He doesn't look to be as in control as he should be. So, Javier Dominguez did not scry planes.
But he did scry something to the top?
I think so. I think it was to the top.
Because
I might have been
what
mistaken.
he drew was Stratus Walk, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So Not a bad card, but also not amazing.
Maybe as a breaching hippocamp.
He does have one in hand.
All right.
Even though the flicking is really, really fast.
You know your cards.
I could make it out. I know my breaching hippocamps.
Another 2/2 zombie token with the inspired trigger. Upkeep Scry, so Bernhard Lener digging. Keeps that one. And a big attack. There's the breaching hippocamp. That can pick off a Servant of Timuret and an Omen Speaker while taking 4 damage. Javier making sure that he will read the cards. Yeah.
Not really a blowout here.
No, but still a decent combat step for him.
Yeah, he's effectively given his Cards of the Tides Vigilance here.
If he has regenerates the Servant Timuret, he has the Stratus Walk in hand. He's already swinging for 6 on the following turn.
Yeah.
So now it takes 4, drops down to 9. This is a race.
But there isn't much about it that Bernhard could have done. The only thing that comes to mind is that he could have blocked, and that he could have stayed back with Sphinx's Disciple, which I was quite confused about because one of them should have been the more defensive.
There's the planes for Javier Dominguez, and now he will be able to play out some of his cards. He has plenty of white ones in his hand. But has to decide which one is the correct one.
Actually,
I know which one.
There is the Hopeful Eidolon, yes. So Dauntless Onslaught would have won here as well, together with the Stratus Walk.
Yeah, so there's a Chorus of the Tides Scry trigger, leaving it on top, it looks like. Yep. And the Chorus of the Tides now 4/3 lifelinker, flyer. Something that Bernhard doesn't seem to have an immediate answer to. Maybe he scried something good to his top. Also has a Curious Dismissal in his hand, but that doesn't do anything on the current board. He can protect his Hopeful Eidolon in a way.
I could have actually seen enchanting the Breaching Hippocamp here. You don't get the Scry trigger, but that makes it allows it to attack.
Are the zombies? I think they're enchantment creatures.
Yes, they are.
All right. So he can bounce the blocker, attack for 7, go up to 13 himself. Yeah, it is an enchantment creature. All the inspired guys are. So there's the Curious Dismissal. And a big attack for Javier Dominguez.
The tokens created by the inspired creatures are.
And now he takes him Bernhard Lener down to 3 because he has no blockers left. And Bernhard will go down to 3 to 4 thanks to the Servant of Timuret. But that the Chorus of the Tide is still lethal if Bernhard Lener doesn't have anything.
But it does mean that Breaching Hippocamp is not lethal on its own.
That is true. But we saw Javier Dominguez have Mortal's Ardor for the right amount when he needed to, so he might actually be sandbagging that one. Oh, Bernhard Lener down up to 4, Javier Dominguez down to 12 because of the Servant of Timuret trigger. That drains 1 life. Yep, 12 to 4.
Javier Dominguez is proving again that that games in this format are being won by the person that wins the race. And all you do is enter the race, no matter what the life totals are, because you know that if you just want to stabilize, then you will lose ultimately.
Yeah, I think it's just, especially in this format, it's proving to be true that evasion is always good.
The deciding moment, I think, is the attack with Chorus of the Tides, despite being criminally behind on board, and Bernhard Lener declining the block.
Yes, that was very interesting. So there was an attack for 3 here. Sip of Hemlock for Bernhard Lener, so getting rid of that Chorus of the Tides, also having Javier going down to 7. But if there's a Stratus Walk and a Mortal's Ardor, I see a Mortal's Ardor in hands, there's a Stratus Walk.
Bernhard is now trying to move into the control position.
Yeah, but
is
it
might
too late?
Be too late, yes.
Yeah. The race worked for Javier Dominguez's favor, so if he has the Mortal's Ardor, he has the win. No blocks. 4.
This was a beautiful game.
Yeah, Javier Dominguez in the finals to a huge roar from the Spanish players. Amazing win. He just plays his flyers and he just attacks with them.
He plays to his outs. He plays knowing how games are won in this format. This was beautifully engineered. I just have to tip my hat.
Yeah, well played. Only with so long stuck only on islands, being able to get into such a position.
And especially then, your first instinct is to just survive.
Yeah.
But surviving is not a viable strategy in this format. It's really interesting.
Would you have blocked there? Would you block with the Sphinx Disciple there?
I think it would have been much better because he already had a clock and an evasive threat and a card advantage mechanism, or two actually.
Yeah.
So there was actually no reason to think that, oh, I'm at 20, I will just go to 17, because if you block, then it's still such a one-sided game.
Yeah.
You just have to think about it from the right angle, I guess.
Right. We have the match between Fabrizio, Anteri, and Benjamin Yu going on, but I absolutely agree with your point. I think
it's good that we're seeing this because you can learn something for next week.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like taking 3 when you're at 20 life doesn't seem that significant. Actually, it turned out to be very important. So Javier Dominguez in the final, just 1 match away from getting yet another trophy.
Let's figure out what's happening here.
Yeah, we have Moraine here. Moraine, give us a scoop. What have we missed in this game?
Well, not a lot of exciting action has happened already. 2 excoriate took care of 2 creatures so far. Fabrizio and Theros seems to be on a healthy 18 life, but he's facing a lot of damage this turn already. Grim Guardian is gonna attack, and then the Marshmist Titan attacks for 6, 7. So he will be at 11, and Benjamin is waiting with a very big Grey Merchant of Asphodel for next turn. So maybe we'll see who's going to the finals next turn already.
Yeah, the life totals are super high, but exactly what Moraine described, it sounds like very high variance cards, like big swingy cards. So there's an attack for 7, bringing Fabrizio down to 11.
Yeah, and that attack with the 1/4 should make you suspicious.
Yeah.
So it would have been a perfectly reasonable blocker for Golden Hind, instead trading 1 for 2 basically, because the way the damage. Ooh,
I see a lot of good cards. He has a Mistcutter Hydra. He also has Siren Song Lyre to tap down the Marshmist Titan. Also has Unravel the Ether.
I think he attacks for 19 here.
Does he? He has a 6-power Mistcutter Hydra. Course of the Tide is 9. And the Thunderhoof is a 5-power, that's 14. He attacks for 18, I think. No, it's exactly lethal because he now doesn't use the Golden Hind for mana, but just attacks with it. So I think Fabrizio Anteri has an attack for 19. Benjamin Yu has a smile on his face, but Fabrizio is counting, and if he counts correctly, he has 19 damage on board. So Mistcutter Hydra for 5, it's a 5/5, and attack for 19. So Golden Hind is 2, Mistcutter Hydra is 5, so 7 total. The Course of Tides makes it 10, and the Ferris Band Thunderhoof is 9, so that's 19. Benjamin Yu changing his demeanor completely there.
Yeah, Ben can't believe it.
Yeah.
This is 5 damage out of nowhere.
That's it, but he's like, yeah, that's 19, yeah, fine. He certainly did not expect that. Swing for 19 from Fabrizio Anteri, and that was like turn 7 or something like that?
We've just talked about racing and how life totals are important, and Grim Guardian only attacked because Ben Yu was setting up something of his own with the Grey Merchant play, and then out of nowhere Mistcutter Hydra comes down.
Amazing. Yeah, so Moraine was predicting the game to end in one of the following turns, but I did not expect it to be in Fabrizio's favor.
Oh, but that means we get one more game.
Yeah, it's awesome because I would love to see more of Benjamin Yu.
He prefers to be called Ben.
Ben, okay,
yeah,
Ben Yu, okay, fair. So Ben Yu of the United States, traveling in Europe, having fun after the Pro Tour, Born of the Gods and Valencia. He just kept traveling.
Oh, that's a sweet way to spend your trip.
Yeah, it looks like a young guy, a great way to explore the world, learn something about it and about yourself. And he's been doing great here. I think this might be his last European GP before he heads back home. So great for him. And Fabrizio,
is he playing Atlanta as well?
He's not playing Atlanta. He's not qualified for the Pro Tour in Atlanta. He is, however, now qualified for the Pro Tour in Portland, Pro Tour Magic 2015. But let me talk a little bit about Fabrizio, because I got to know him just very recently. I got contacted by him and by Eduardo Sejgalik, who's also in England, and about, oh yeah, Fabrizio qualified for the Pro Tour, winning the biggest PTQ ever that happened outside a Pro Tour or a GP venue. And that he's looking for a team because he actually plays he plays decently, but needed a team. And yeah, I added him to the team. He's very active, a very bright player, and I think one of the most impressive stats. I think he played 10 GPs lifetime, maybe 11 now, but he has 2 GP top 8s now. He cashed 8 out of those 10 before. So maybe now 9 out of 11 or 8 out of 10, I don't know, but it's still very impressive. And this finish actually is his 6th pro point finish at a Grand Prix.
That's
this is
very
already,
impressive.
so he didn't get the full amount of points, well, full amount of value, because only the top 5 GP results count. So, I mean, surely he added a good one to his books, but he had to dismiss one of his top 64 finishes from previous GPs. Great player and lots of potential for him. But will we see him defeating the American prodigy, Ben Yu, and his really nice black-white deck? I really like it. One of the funniest scenarios in this draft is that it is entirely possible that in the finals we will see 2 players that have first picked Doomwake Giants, because that's what Javier Dominguez did. But Javier Dominguez passed up on 3 successive Grim Guardians and switched into blue-white.
Wow.
Whereas Ben Yu is the one with the triple Grim Guardians. And, some of them he got passed probably through Javier, and plays a very solid black-white deck.
These draft dynamics are my favorite thing in the world. It's really interesting, especially this early on in the format. And
yeah.
I'm going to be looking at the draft viewer at the Pro Tour as well, because
sure.
there you can really see those people that have more of a theoretical approach. They've thought about the cards and what they want, but then you see who really has put in the work and did all the drafting and the discussion with other high-level players. And
yeah.
I think this tournament alone has already shown us so many things that you just wouldn't be able to simply analyze from looking at the cards themselves.
Yeah, people have been asking me over the weekend, why are you doing coverage? You could have played, you could have learned so much. But at the end, some of the players were like, oh, you probably learned much more by doing coverage than actually playing in the tournament, because you see a lot more matches, you see a lot more interactions, and maybe you don't get swayed by the low sample size that you have played against.
And if you build your deck, then one side of the table is always going to be the same deck, which you probably think is good, but you can't really know.
Exactly.
So here we see all the archetypes, all the 2 color combinations, and to me this is one of the defining things when playing Theros block limited. Each 2 color combination does have a little bit of a different feel to it. That changes how to evaluate certain cards. And I think in drafting, what this means is that you really want to pick up the cards that work best within their colors and the possible color combinations.
Sure. I think one color combination that has not been working out in Born on the Gods Theros draft, the blue-red, and from the results I saw this weekend, blue-red has not been performing again. So they take it as a hint from me. Be careful about drafting blue-red. It's very tricky. You can get some very nice decks, but it is very tricky.
You have to know very, very well what you're doing. I think this is also a big point.
Yeah.
It's easier to draft white-red, blue-white, blue-green, black-blue. All of these, you really know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Black-white for me is my sleeper pick.
I really like black-white, but also it is also very hard to build.
Yes, it's probably second hardest compared.
Yeah.
Black-green can also be tricky.
True.
Sometimes it all falls into your lap, but let's start with the game.
Yeah, final game of the semifinals. Ben Yu against Fabrizio Anteri. Ben Yu on his white-black control deck facing off against Fabrizio's Fond of Fertility Sword-Eye Centaur deck, so not accelerating but playing a turn 2 Sword-Eye Centaur, and a great play on turn 2, but probably will face off against the 1/4 from Ben Yu. It is a 1/4 Skull of Red Theros. He has plenty of those in his deck.
And I can't really see Ben Yu declining a block here. That is just...
I can see it, because Skull of Red is actually quite important in his deck.
But then, what are you going to do next turn?
Maybe play Excoriate. I don't know what he has in his hand, so it's very hard. But maybe he'll find a better creature to trade off with. But well, we'll see. He has a Marshmallow's Titan in hand. I think he'll probably have to block here. Calling the bluff, no trick. Well played, Ben.
You can't always respect the trick. It's just not something that you're going to be able to do. This Plains on Fabrizio Anteri's side is the splash color for Banishing Light. So Fabrizio is going to be looking to fetch an island from his deck with Fond of Fertility and then untap into, for example, Chorus of the Tides.
Yeah, I think he has a Curious Follower in his hand, which he would have liked to play earlier, but it looks like, yeah, he has also the Chorus of the Tides, as you mentioned, and also Mistcutter Hydra. That could also be a big player.
No. Miskara, of course, scales very well with the time the match goes on, and Kyora's follower will probably have to wait a little bit because evasive threats are more important.
Yeah, now you see why he might have declined to block if he was scared of a trick. He does have Cavern Lampad, which he might just trade off with Sword Eye Centaur.
Not a very mana efficient play there, but still better than taking damage, of course.
Yeah. So now Fabrizio sacrifices Font of Fertility, searched up the blue mana that he needed for his 2 blue spells in his hand. Also drew Unravel the Ether. Yeah, attack. Benyu declines the block again.
No, for the first time.
Yeah, for the, declines the block here. Declines the trade.
But this is weird.
This is weird.
I don't get it.
I think we might just see a Kyora's follower and leaving up Unravel the Ether for Fabrizio and Anteri.
Why would you block with the Scholar the first time and then attack with it, but not block with the other creature?
Maybe he wants to raise. He wants to. I think he has Marchmist Titan in his hand, so he probably wants to keep the black permanent around so that he can play it on turn 6.
But then still holding back the Scholar, I think would have made.
Yeah,
more
would have
sense.
made sense. Yeah.
Fabrizio was also. Oh, maybe Fabrizio would have. No, there was an option that Fabrizio played his 5th land because Font of Fertility would have accelerated him, and then Ben Yu maybe already knew that he wanted to play around Boon Satyr. I don't know. That's the only explanation I have because trading 1 for 3 is not what his deck wants to do.
So 5 mana for Ben Yu, passes the turn. Interesting. So now Fabrizio used the opportunity to get rid of the Cavern Lampad with the Unravel the Ether. He will shuffle it into Ben Yu's library. So turning that into very mana efficient removal. Using only 2 to kill a creature that costs 4. And a 5th land for Fabrizio now. He could play the Mistcutter Hydra as a 4/4 that would get through the Scholar of Athreos.
Do we know if
6/6?
Do we know if Ben has any mass removal in his deck? Extinguish All Hopes? Or?
I don't think so. He does have the Doomwake Giant.
Okay, because Extinguish All Hopes is a card that could be troublesome now that Fabrizio and Anteri has spent his Unravel the Ether and there is only a Scholar of Athreos on the opposite side.
So, lots of mana opportunities for Fabrizio. Again, an attack into the Scholar. No, not yet. I think I might have seen an aerial formation in his hand.
Ben is also representing Divine Verdict, so now attacking is a lot more difficult.
I think it's representing less if that was a Grim Guardian, because he can always use Scholar to drain 1 life. The Scholar is so good in board stalls.
Yeah, but this isn't really a board stall. This is
not just yet. Yeah.
This is blue-green being quite ahead.
Yeah, attack with both here, so we'll get through for at least 2 damage, unless Ben Yu has something to say about this. He wouldn't really want to Divine Verdict here if he had it in his hand.
No, he wants to block, and then if Fabrizio does something, then
of course. Yeah.
So this is basically a 1-to-1 damage trade if we count the Scholar of Athreos activation.
Yep, and here's the Chorus of the Tide. So taking it to the air. Fabrizio still has the Banishing Light that he's sandbagging for a while now. Now the Drain for 1 with the Scholar of Athreos. And if Ben Yu just plays land and passes the turn, I think Fabrizio will go for the Banishing Light. Or maybe the Hydra.
It's funny how Scholar of Athreos and 6 lands already pretty much negates everything that's on Fabrizio and Anteri's side of the board. It blocks the 3/2, it negates the Kyora's follower, and then you still take 3, but you also deal 2 to your opponent. So.
Sure. So yeah, tough spot for both players. They have to think about all the options from the other player. There is a Doomwake Giant for Ben Yu,
which isn't particularly good right
and
now.
He attacks for 1.
Maybe hoping to get a block to make Doomwake Giant good.
Yeah, that's what he certainly was hoping for, but Fabrizio declines that. And here's Doomwake Giant. So 5 mana, 4/6 Constellation, and whenever an enchantment comes to play, it gives -1/-1. Fortunately for Fabrizio, he has creatures with 2 toughness, but I can definitely see him playing the Banishing Light here and crashing in for a lot of damage.
And Ben is being in a sense, punished for attacking with the Scholar
Yeah.
again. He took 3 extra damage earlier, and this time he wanted his opponent to block, but I think he could have realized that that was very unlikely. So once again, he dealt 1, but allows his opponent to deal 3.
Yeah. So there's the Banishing Light, targeting the Doomwig Giant, so that will exile it. Yep, that resolves. No God's willing.
No, Ben is just lacking in tricks
Yeah.
overall here.
And attack for 8 already, so Ben Yu down to 8. And I think Fabrizio has the aerial formation in his hand. Also has the Mistcutter Hydra, which can crash him for a lot of damage. Ben Yu might be on the back ropes already.
Yeah, and aerial formation is is the less scary card because there's only a single island for Fabrizio. But still, Ben is now pretty much dead if he doesn't have something really good here. Maybe something to destroy the Banishing Light. Maybe Drown in Sorrow.
Sure, that could work. That would be great.
The good thing about Black-White is that you get access to so many cards that nobody else wants. Like Drown in Sorrow, even the Mass Removal spells, which aren't a high priority at all.
Weight of the Underworld, targeting the cores of the Tide, so that takes care of it. Relieving of 3 mana, so that he would be able... Oh no, plays an Archetype of Courage, so gums up the ground a little bit more, but no cards in hand for Ben Yu. And now I think the Mistcutter Hydra, another blue mana. So actually could play Aerial Formation, but it's 1 short, I think. Gives +1/+1.
5, 7, yeah, 1 short.
1 short. So he'll just play the huge Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah, what you can't do is give it flying.
Exactly, because it has protection for blue, so it working it against Fabrizio, and here it's already a 7/7.
He has to content himself with a 7/7 haste
Oh,
creature.
yeah, too bad. Attack for 7, and yeah, Ben, you probably have to start. He can take it, but he'll probably will chump block here. It is a big swing, and if Fabrizio has the aerial formation that I'm putting him on, and I think I saw it in his hand, can't just make up all of the new cards just yet, but I think it was the aerial formation. He has the win on the following turn, because I think what he has against Ben Yu is big creatures to get past the 1 force, because those are a massive roadblock, and that's how he defeated Daniel Fior, and I'm sure it would have done really well against Sergei Suchalski as well. These two were playing small creatures. Also has evasion in the form of Cores of the Tide. Also has the aerial formation to finish off the game. So he has angles to attack Ben Yu's deck. So it's very important here. There's the Marshmith Titan.
In addition, Ben's deck didn't really cooperate this game. The whole engine never really started. The Marshmith Titan didn't get to eat any creatures. There was just, things didn't really work out.
Yeah, he just couldn't get going in this game. There's a Marshmith Titan for the full 7 mana without being able to drain. Does Fabrizio Anteri. It is the aerial formation and has 2 islands, so it can target 2 of the other creatures, and that is an attack for 7 in the air. And there's the handshake. Fabrizio Anteri in his 2nd GP finals in I think half a year, a couple more, 7 months. So Fabrizio Anteri now can exact revenge and get a title of his own. He did lose to Patrick Dickman in Antwerp. Now we'll face off against Javier Dominguez, who already has a GP title, so it's going to be a very interesting match in the final as well. 2 good players too. Wow, great match.